Good evening, everybody. Welcome to Unacademy. And today with me is a very special guest, High Court lawyer practitioner, Advocate Ritesh Thobde. I formally welcome Advocate Ritesh Thobde to Unacademy. Good evening, Ritesh sir.
Good evening,
And
Rushikesh. I am really glad to be here. Looking forward to have this unique discussion with you.
very warm welcome from all of us to you, Ritesh. We'll definitely get along with the discussion. But before we start with the discussion, let me just quickly give you all the viewers a quick introduction about you. Mr. Ritesh Thobde is a LLB from passed out from a very reputed institute associated to University of Pune. He's completed his LLM from University of London. He's been a law practitioner from the last 7 years in the High Court of Bombay. Now, talking about the topic, Ritesh, we are going to be discussing on virtual court proceedings. Now, in the outbreak of this pandemic, the Supreme Court has ordered all of its subordinate court to depend or rely upon the virtual court proceedings in order to deliver the justice to the common man. In this context, I would like to ask you, what is your understanding about the system of courts, and what is your understanding about how virtual court proceedings have came into existence?
Rightly, Rishikesh, as you just said, that the situation of the pandemic spreading across the world was totally unforeseen and very unprecedented. And nobody could foresee that such a situation would come. Although there were talks to have these virtual courts earlier also so as to make justice accessible to a lot of people probably who cannot make it to places like Bombay or Delhi if their matters are at the High Court or the Supreme Court level.
Right.
But this pandemic has accelerated this. Now, the concept behind this was because of the lockdown measures, we know that everything in the country, all the institutions had come to a standstill. Even
Right.
the gods, because the temples, the mosques, the churches, religious congregations were prevented, and therefore
Right.
all these places were also closed. But the Temple of Justice, which is our Honorable Supreme Court, as well as the high courts in the country and the judiciary, they were functioning day in, day out,
Right.
functioning and doing the work of delivering justice to the litigants.
Right.
Now, this is also a fundamental right of each and every citizen of the country under Article 21 that access to justice has to be there to the citizens of the country.
Right.
Basic understanding that we know that we were running an open court system wherein the courts which are open to the public at large. You can go to
Right.
the court, you can follow any matter. It is open to the reporters. It is open to the public at large.
Right.
Now, the in virtual systems, in virtual courts, this was not happening, and only limited access was being granted to the litigants and the lawyers, and therefore this virtual system which had come, it was criticized that it is not part of that open court system. To
Okay.
stop here, I will just give you a brief background what open courts are. Open
Right.
court system is something which we run, which is mandated by Article 145 of to be in the open courts. So there are similar provisions in the CRPC under Article 327, and also the Civil Procedure Code in Section 153B, which says that the place of the just court has to be an open. Also, these provisions also have certain provisos to them, wherein access to justice cannot be unbridled. It cannot be like the court is not like an. To give you an example, it is not like a public park wherein anybody can walk in, because the court has the power to regulate who to get in, who to allow, who to not allow, and all these power is to be utilized in the interest of justice. There are also certain offenses. For example, in the Criminal Procedure Code, I was talking about Section 327. There is also certain provisions there wherein if an offense is of rape, for some further offense of suppose protection of children from sexual offenses, such offenses the trial take place in camera,
Right.
and in such proceedings the access is not unbridled to the public at large, and it is regulated by the court.
So what you are
So
saying
on
is
these basis,
right.
in May, I was saying that using this proviso, Supreme Court in May 2020, when these virtual courts started, they made a statement saying that the virtual courts, I will quote the Supreme Court here, the virtual courts are not antithetical to the open court system, and both of them can coexist with each other. And this
Right.
is how the virtual courts have started across the country, and the Supreme Court mandated all the high courts as well as the lower courts to take up matters virtually. Initially, they were taking extremely urgent cases. Now the process is being streamlined to take more and more number of matters, even though the pandemic still continues and the lockdown measures are still in force in a lot of places.
So bringing the justice to the doors of the litigant is what you are suggesting right here, Ritesh. Thank you for such a beautiful insight on the introductory part of virtual court proceedings. Now, I'd like you to highlight on what are the various advantages in terms of virtual court proceedings, as we would like to know. A lot of us still are not aware about the various judicial proceedings that go into the court. Uh, and this is altogether a new feature, even though the existence of it comes back from the 1990s itself. I'd like you to focus and tell our audience, in general, what are the various advantages of virtual court proceedings.
Obviously, whenever we are moving towards a new system, there will be advantages, there will be disadvantages to it. There is no doubt about it. Now,
Definitely.
it will have to see what works best going forward. But to list a few advantages, I would say that it is the virtual court system is certainly it is time saving. As you said, it is literally taking justice to the doors of the litigant, which is also some a right, fundamental right under Article 21 of the Constitution.
Right.
So these are the couple of advantages. Personally, if you ask me, personally as a lawyer, if you ask me what are the advantages of a virtual system, I'll be a little selfish here in admitting to the fact that, for example, if a lawyer is having his matter listed tomorrow at the Bombay High Court,
Right.
and there is another matter listed at the Supreme Court,
Right.
and say one more matter is listed in some other High Court, say
Right.
Bangalore High Court, the Karnataka High Court. The earlier what used to happen was you had to sacrifice either of them, and you could be at only one place. So you go to Delhi, you sacrifice your matters in
Right.
Bombay and the other place. That would lead to somewhat of an injustice to the case of the client
Right.
whose case you would sacrifice and put it to a next date.
Right.
But this virtual system, you can be in any place that you want, and you could attend to all the three matters on the same day. So that
Right.
is one advantage which I feel is very important about the virtual court system.
Can you tell about the usage of paper in the judicial matters, as a lot of people in this judicial fraternity consider this virtual court proceeding to be a boon to the environment, as there was a report which stated that the Supreme Court actually uses billions of papers in only filing. So, can you emphasize on that part of the advantages in terms of the virtual court proceedings, Ritesh sir?
In fact, I've gone through that report. It said that 11 billion sheets of paper are used by the courts in the country every year, and the kind of impact that is it has on the environment is something that is there to be seen. But one advantage I will say that since February this year, the Supreme Court has allowed double-side printing of matters. Earlier, it was only one single-sided printing. This
Right.
in itself is bound to save a lot of paper. But
Right.
to take all these things virtually, to create the entire record virtually, would
Right.
also save a lot of paper and result in a positive impact on the environment at large.
Okay. Now, Ritesh, there is one more point that I would like you to emphasize on. can you tell us the difference between the e-code projects and the
Are you
functioning?
there, Rishikesh?
Ritesh, can you hear me properly, Ritesh? I'm so sorry for the technical glitch from my side. Ritesh sir, can you hear me properly?
There's some.
Ritesh sir, are you with me, Ritesh sir?
I am Rishikesh. I can hear you.
I am so sorry, Ritesh sir. There's some technical glitch
I
from
can,
my side, but we have got back online again.
can,
Yes, Ritesh sir, I'll quickly want you to guide us through what is the difference between the e-code projects and the virtual court proceeding that is going on right now. Can you quickly guide us through that point?
uh, talking about the ease of a plan for implementation of information and communication technology in the Indian judiciary.
Right,
Basically, this is by which they want to computerize and digitalize the court records, and that is what the project tries to envisage here, is to have all the records of the cases in the digital form. It to access their cases. So all these records they can be accessed 20 find out my next about the
Ritesh sir, do I have you with me still with me, Ritesh sir?
yes, yes. I was just saying that this is not bound to be there, and that is something that
We are yet to discuss about the challenges one of the
Yes,
challenges,
Rishikesh.
one of the challenges uh, to this infrastructure that
Exactly.
is one that we are exactly living in the middle of this infrastructural challenges, Ritesh sir. So before
Exactly. And unless and until that happens, the virtual course cannot be taken forward. Infrastructure is of prime importance here, and internet connectivity is to be there, and then only then virtual course will be the way forward for us. that is that is what I
so
feel, and we
before
are experiencing it firsthand here.
definitely, definitely. So before anything else obstruct us, let us just continue with the discussion and quickly tell it about the challenges to virtual court proceedings. What, according to you, are the challenges to this virtual court proceedings, Ritesh sir, apart from the technical glitch that we
this
have just.
this this is foremost the most important one, I will feel, because if at all the connection issues are there, then obviously you will not be able to connect to the courts and have a seamless hearing,
Right,
which obviously the advantage in a physical court system, because there won't be any technical glitches as such. And
definitely.
you would be right there in front of the judge, and you'll be able to make out your case, whatever
Okay,
as per the facts of the case. But
okay,
apart from this, there would be other challenges. I believe that for us, like people like me who have grown up with technology, who have grown up with computers, it is far more easier to take up this work code practices. But I believe it would be of a challenge to persons who have not been born and raised with technology. Say people from a generation older than us.
right,
For them, the computers have been subsequent additions to their lives, which came very much late into their life. And for these lawyers, it might be a challenge to adopt to these proceedings as quickly as some others may find it. Also, 90%, I believe, yes, 90% of the lawyers would be technologically challenged, and therefore that is one of the biggest challenges of this virtual court system. Try and impart training to them so that they can efficiently be part of these systems. That is one challenge. Secondly, I believe another challenge would arise, because for now, although the hearings are restricted to the most urgent matters and are now being streamlined to take more and more number of cases, it is no secret that in civil law, we know one of the parties, they know that yes, my case is on a stronger footing, and whereas the other party knows that yeah, I have a weaker case. So such a party may use this as an opportunity to postpone the hearings, so as to delay the inevitable. So that is because for now the virtual court proceedings are only being taken up by consent of both parties. One
right.
of the parties, if they don't consent, then the courts will not be in a position to impose that okay, you have to argue it on virtual courts. So that is one another challenge which I believe.
Can
Apart from this, if
yes.
the cases are of a voluminous nature, if yes, you're saying something, Rishi.
No, no, Ritesh sir, please go ahead. Please go ahead, sir. Ritesh sir, do I still have you with me?
I was saying that in cases, the record is voluminous, and there are huge bunches of papers are there. It is still again another challenge to the infrastructure, because we will not be in a position to make all those paper based files into a virtual system as quickly as possible, although it can be streamlined in the future, but that is a small issue which is still there. But more important than all these smaller issues, I believe that the work for the trial court. The trial court is where 90% of the cases in the country are. writ petitions, appeals, revisions might consist of the only of a 10%, but 90% of the cases which are pending before the courts are in the trial courts at the district and the taluka level. And in such places, the demeanor of the witness, what he states before the court, if he and for the cross examination of witnesses.
Okay. Discussion as such, but I'm afraid I may have to cut you down on the discussion and quickly discuss a last certain point. I have, in my reading, it has come that virtual reading actually compromises or is a threat to witness credibility. What is your say on that as a challenge to the virtual court proceedings?
I was just elaborating on the said fact when we lost the connection, I believe,
Yes.
because that is the most important challenge I believe to the virtual court system. Because I was pointing out that most of the cases which are pending before the courts are in the trial court, and in the trial courts, these examination of witnesses is an important aspect. What happens before the trial courts now, if the witness is supposed to depose from a different place virtually, can you be sure that he is deposing without any force, coercion, or undue influence? Can that be done? Can it be ensured that the witness is deposing out of his own free will and is not being coerced to depose in such a in a manner which is probably maybe detrimental to his case or something like that? Whereas if he is present physically in the court has the opportunity to examine the demeanor of the witness and decide about the veracity of what he is stating before the court. This is obviously cannot happen in the virtual courts. That is the biggest lacuna of virtual courts, and it may probably this system may not be suited well at the trial level. Appeals, writ petitions, all these kinds of matters wherein witnesses need not be examined can efficiently be done through virtual courts. No doubt about that. But
Okay.
during the trial, the witness he has to be present before the court so as to lead the court to examine him properly and come to a proper and just decision in the case.
Okay. Now, that would be all from the challenges side. Ritesh sir, can you quickly cover up with all the way forwards to this particular topic? What, according to you, are the way forwards towards the challenges of this newly introduced system of justice in our country?
See, the challenges now we are facing this glitch. I believe this is the first and foremost opportunity for us to have a robust internet infrastructure across the country, which
Right.
provides seamless internet connectivity, not just in metro cities, but in district places, at the taluka level, because you want all the players of the justice delivery system to be able to access this system without any glitches. And therefore this is first opportunity that the technology, the infrastructure in the country about information technology has to be developed. Secondly, as far as I spoke that yes, there are challenges. Some lawyers may be finding it difficult to adopt to technology, but this is already being addressed by the Supreme Court E committee. And Justice D.Y. Chandrachud is the chairman, and he has been instrumental in starting a training program for all these lawyers. Now, what they are doing is they are organizing webinars wherein they will teach the lawyers how these virtual systems, how these e-filing, how these e-court systems work, and these lawyers in turn would be further training more lawyers. So they're trying to make it a holistic approach wherein the lawyers who are part of the system train the other lawyers. The bar councils of the state have also taken up these initiatives of organizing these seminars and webinars to train the lawyers. So that challenging aspect is to a level it is started to be addressed, and in the coming future, obviously it lead to mass lawyers being able to be access these virtual courts.
Okay. Thank you so much, Ritesh sir, for such an insightful session on this topic of virtual court proceedings. However, before we part ways today, I would like you to give out some message to the students of Unacademy and to all the students across the country. What would be your two insightful words for the student community of the country?
Since a lot of students are not from the law background, but they are doing an MBA, I believe.
Yes, yes.
I think technology has a lot of role to play in the legal sphere. As of now, we are just starting at the tip of adopting to this technology. There are certain projects by various universities like the Stanford University as well as Yale University, which are running pilot projects examining how legal technology can change the legal sphere. So these projects, I think your students would be very well suited to go through such projects and see how those can be adapted to the Indian scenario and how they can contribute to the legal fraternity, to the development of the legal fraternity going forward.
Okay. Once again, sir, Ritesh sir, thank you so much for the insightful session that you have brought in this quite small session, including the technical glitches, the challenge that we discussed for the virtual court proceedings. I wish you all the very best for all your future endeavors in the High Court of Bombay and all the high courts of the country, and as well as to the Supreme Court of our country. Okay. Thank you so much, Ritesh sir.
I'm glad to be a part of this discussion with my good friend Rishikesh, and thank you Unacademy for giving me this opportunity to share my experience, small experience of having worked in the virtual system for this time in the lockdown. I would have really loved to have an elaborate discussion, provided we did not have these technical glitches. But
Definitely.
certainly look forward to being associated with you in the future.
Yes, yes, Ritesh sir, whenever a legal topic comes across my reading and I want my students to know about it, I'll definitely call you back on Unacademy. But on behalf of all the team of Unacademy and the student community of Unacademy, I would heartily thank you for joining us for today's session. Thank you so much, Ritesh sir.
Thank
I'll
you.
see you soon again. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Everybody joining us, thank you so much for participating in discussion. We will definitely see Ritesh sir soon in one of our discussions. Thank you guys. Thank you. You guys have a great weekend ahead. Thank you so much, everybody.